Really valuable. And it's a situation where, last year this group really gelled early. Had I think it was our best Division I start, and then ran into adversity in January, which I think that piece, that January adversity, that turned into playing an elite level of basketball on the road to finish out the season. I think that's going to pay dividends with this group and paying it forward. With the retention of these guys down the road, just having had that in your back pocket's huge.
What are you looking at in terms of rotation? How many guys do you want to kind of get involved on a regular basis?
Today was first day of practice, Zach. I got no idea on that. I think we do have some really good depth. And I do think that, we're going to be able to go, 9, 10, 11 deep as you play through it. And really, if you look at what we did this summer, I got, all 13 scholarship guys, could be in the rotation with how they're playing. I really like our talent base right now.
When you mix in a bunch of transfers with the group that you have from last year, what do you hope those transfers can add for this year's team?
Well, the first thing is having, 7 of our top 8 scorers back. It creates a lot of continuity. It creates a good rhythm on the floor, and it also makes the newcomers kind of stand out for those 8 weeks during the summer and first 4 weeks of the fall. We're just now starting to see a blending of those guys, and they're very, very talented, but we got a group that plays really, really well together, and they when you play pace and space and you're playing a lot of possession, you're playing really fast, that's where some guys get exposed a little bit on that, and we're starting to see them really, really fit in with how we're playing, and I love that part of it.
You talked about Horizon League play from last year, and when you look at what else happened around the conference with Oakland, some other coaches coming in and out, how do you hope this team can kind of pounce on the opportunity to make that next step in the conference this season?
Well, I like the team that we have returning. I love continuity. I love development in our program. We've operated like we always have operated. Now, some of the other programs, there's coaching changes, there's player movement, so you don't really know who you're going to be playing against. So, right now we're just competing against ourselves. We'll see how it all plays out by the time we get to those games in December. Right now, worried about ourselves. We're hunting growth, focusing on our process, and I like the guys in our locker room.
What do you think it says about the way that you operate and the way that this coaching staff works, that so many guys want to come back, want to do a 5th year, that you've had so much stability with this year-to-year transition?
Well, there's a lot of, transactional behaviors in college sports these days. We've tried to, create an environment that our guys love being in, and it's player development, it's life skills, it's off the court. One thing I really take pride in as the head coach and our assistant coaches is that we care more for our guys than anybody in the country, and we put that on the floor every single day, and I think that's paid dividends there. Also, the community of Fort Wayne has paid out. In terms of they pay it forward with how they take care of our guys. Our guys have great relationships. We challenge them in the summer to get out in the community, and they're welcomed with open arms. They love Fort Wayne, and then guys have reached their dreams from our place, whether it's with basketball, like Jon and the 23 other pros that have made it over the last 14 years, or it's, guys getting, jobs after basketball, like Rob Petty, who's got his dream as an analyst in finance. And so, I think we've really, figured out a way to manage that and get our guys back. But I have great assistant coaches, and every day there's guys hanging out on their couches building relationships, and if we continue to build relationships, I think it'll play out well for us.
Looking ahead into this new season, or even just looking at last season, you reached that 20-win threshold, you competed each game in conference, and get to compete in postseason as well. So going into this new year, where do you set that bar for this team? What is that expectation heading into the season?
Well, and a lot of those are outcomes, and so it's human nature to put some outcomes attached to sports. And obviously, this group wants to be playing in Indy and then playing in the NCAA's, and we've been right there with our talent base and how we've played well down the stretch of seasons. But really, the best way to get there is just continue to focus in on the process. It's about every single day. It's a long year, and just like we showed last year, where we ran into a rough stretch in January with a couple games, it's how do you manage adversity? How do you keep working every day? How do you have growth as you go through the season? And we just got to be playing our best basketball in February and March.
Where do you feel like you are right now, day one versus day one last year?
You know, the group has remained really, really hungry, which is one of those fears you have of having so many returners. 3 years ago, we had a group of a ton of returners coming off of that 22 championship season. And I look back, I thought I was, and a lot of those guys were we had a 7-year player on that team. And so I did not have as much contact in the summer. I kind of played the long game with that group and tried to save a little bit as we went through. This year, I went exactly as I did last summer with our aggressives. We were super physical, played a lot of contact in the summer. There was a lot of compete. I don't think this group here would do it any other way. Looking for this group to continue to take another step, and that's where we got to get these transfers to be able to fit in. I mean, we lost Anthony Roberts, who was a really good player, and sort of the cornerstone of our defense last year, and was an elite rebounder to be able to play as small as we did. So we need some guys to step in and fill his void, and some other guys to kind of push these guys. And so I look to get a little bit deeper with my rotations this year as well.
I guess I'll throw out one last one just for fans at home. What do you expect that this brand of Mastodon basketball is going to look like out on the court, especially, once we hit exhibition day here in about a month or so?
Yeah, we've been pretty consistent with what we're going to put on the floor, and that's over the last decade. We've played fast. We played extremely unselfish. It starts with getting space from playing fast, but then we're going to shoot the basketball just like we did last year. We have a group that can really, really shoot it, and we have 4 guys on our roster right now that don't need a ball screen to get downhill. And I thought we were elite last year, drawing fouls, getting into the paint to initiate, getting the ball happy. I see us being the same there. You hear us talk a ton about offense because we're, over the last decade of me being the head coach, we're number 16 in the country in scoring, number 4 in three-point field goals made, number 13 in three-point field goal percentage. And with all that stuff, it's all great, but this group, I think, can take it to another level in the defensive end. 2 of the last 3 years, we've had the best defensive efficiency in our league. I'd like to stack that with last year's defense and, continue on with where we were last year. I mean, we were top 5 in the country in terms of our turnover margin, turning guys over and also taking care of the basketball. I'd like to continue those trends. So I think, a lot of what we saw last year, but more experience. I think what you're going to be impressed with is, Rasheed Bello, Quentin Morton-Robertson, Jalen Jackson. I mean, those guys, Eric Moore, they've improved a ton. I mean, CJ, second year in the program, Max, second year in the program. Every guy we've had historically has gotten better that second year because of that pace and space. First year it's hitting them really quickly. Decision-making's happening really, really quickly. This year the game starts to slow down and they start to play faster. And we saw that this summer with those returners.